Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. And I see a new Mataji, Usha Mediratha. Welcome to the call. She is from India, and Parshana Mataji had introduced her to me. So I'm so happy, Usha Mataji, that you have joined the call. And dear devotees, I apologize that I had to change the start date of the start timing of this class because of I'm still on the road and distributing Bhagavatam sets and trying to collect funds for distributing Bhagavad-gitas. This is Srila Prabhupada's marathon, and we are very, very busy. You know, whole night make laddus, the whole day distribute Bhagavatam and laddus. So that hurts go. It's a very blissful experience to be able to go and talk about Krishna to the various devotees as we meet them. So it's always a nice experience. So I think today people are having trouble connecting to the audio.
Yeah, I had, and then I still having waiting. The circle is going on your face.
Wow.
I don't know what is that going on.
Yeah. Sutapa, can you hear me?
Yes, Mataji, I can hear you. Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Fantastic. So give me a second, and I want to just ping.
Is anybody having that waiting thing is going on? I can hear you, I can see you. Huh?
No, Mataji. So you cannot see Shraddha Mataji?
I can see her, I can hear her. When you are talking, I can see that only that black picture, and then that waiting is still there.
Oh, okay. No.
I don't know what's going on. Anyway,
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna, Siddha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Shraddha Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. Jai Shri
Hare Krishna,
Prabhupada.
Sukamla
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Varshana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay, so let us get started here on our call for today after a brief prayer to the spiritual master. I am right now stationed in Sukharupa Mataji's home because I was distributing books in Sunnyvale area today, and I got late, so I just said that I can't go back home now. Can you let me in? So she has given me her study, so that's where I am right now. So let's pray to the spiritual master. Om Ajnanatimarandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Welcome dear devotees, Vrindyavali Mataji, Archana Mataji, Sukumal Rate, Sutapa. Varshana, and new devotee who's joining us today. She is Varshana Mataji's friend, Usha Mediratta. And so let's give her a warm welcome. And I also see that Garima Mataji is joining us here. So let's get started with our reading from the Bhagavad Gita. So last time we did chapter 3, verse number 33. And today we're going to do verse number 34. So I'm going to start sharing my screen with you here. And we'll just see how we go from there. And let me know if you're able to see my screen, which should
Reading
show.
is not going from there. God, what to do?
Don't worry. So here, going to the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, and today's verse will be 34. But before we go to 34, we're going to just have a quick look at what we talked about in 33, because there's a connection between those two verses here. So let it come up, and we'll bring that up momentarily. And here, 33. So in 33, Krishna is telling Arjuna about the nature that people are, they are forced by their nature to behave and react to certain circumstances accordingly. So he says that even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? And we had said last time and explained the context in which Krishna is explaining this and what exactly Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna. So he's saying that, when you are choosing what you're going to do in life, when you're choosing a particular occupation in life, then remember, do something which is according to your own nature. For everyone follows the nature he has acquired. So Brahmana will be in the mode of goodness. And what can repression accomplish? So what this means over here is that if you are a Brahmana by nature, which means you're soft, you like to forgive people, you have a lot of compassion in your heart. So if you are a Brahmana by nature and you take up a job of a policeman, right? So sooner than later, your nature is going to hit you. And you will be unhappy in that job because that job will require you to punish, and you are a one who always forgives, right? So there'll be a clash there. So he's saying that even if you try to repress your nature, repress your feelings of compassion for everybody in the universe, but when you're in a job that requires you to punish, then you will have trouble, right? Even after you're repressing it, right? And you say, okay, fine, I won't be compassionate. I will punish this person. So you punish, okay, let this hang, let's beat this man. This policeman sometimes do that. So, he might do that, but then again, 3 hours later, he will be full of remorse. Like, why did I do that? Because that is what his nature is. This is what Krishna is telling Arjuna in this verse. And I want you to emphasize that, that it doesn't mean that I'm going to do, it's my nature. So I did that. And Arjuna over here is saying that I will not fight, Krishna, I don't want to fight. And it's better that if I live by begging rather than kill my own people. Bhaksham, right? So bhaksham is by, bhiksha mangna. But Arjuna is a Kshatriya by nature. So Krishna is saying that, you go and ask somebody, like we go door to door book distribution, right? And we ask for money for people. So sometimes they give you money, sometimes they don't. So like similarly with Arjuna, he'll ask you to give me some money and he won't. So what's your nature? Your Kshatriya nature is going to come up and you'll say like, what? You have got so much money with you. How come you don't give it? And you'll pull your Gandiva and you'll be ready to kill him, right? So repression is not going to work for a very long time. So be situated in an occupation which is according to your Varna that you have acquired, right? And now let's continue on and see what Krishna is saying in text number 34. Indriyasyendriyasyarthe ragadvesha vyavasthitau tayorna vasham agachet tauhi asya paripanthinau. And what does that mean? Let's look at the synonyms first. Indriyasya. So we know Indri, right? The senses. So Indriyasya means of the senses. Indriyas arthe. Indriyas arthe, in the sense objects. Raga, attachment. Dvesha, also detachment. So raga and dvesha. Vyavastito, put under regulations. Yeah, vyavastit karna. Organized. This is to be done. This is not to be done. So rules and regulations. So put under regulations. Tayo, of them. Na, never. Vasham, control. Agachet, one should come. Tau, those. He, certainly. Asya, his. Paripanthinau, stumbling blocks. So, what is attachment?
Raga.
Raga. Okay. And what is stumbling block in your path?
Paripanthinau.
Paripanthinau, right? So your panth, right? There's a panth, there's a path, and then there is blocks to that path. Okay. What is indriya?
Indriya.
What is indriya?
Senses.
Senses.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And okay. And then in the sense objects, what is the Sanskrit for that?
Indriyas arthe.
Indriyarasya.
Yeah, indriyas arthe. Very nice. And what is detachment?
Deshao.
Right. Raga, dvesha, right? And attachment is?
Raga.
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 And if you want to, if you are under the control, then what is that?
Vasham.
Okay. And what is to put something under rules and regulations?
Vyavasthitao.
Vyavasthitao, right, right? Okay. All right. Then let's look at the translation, what Prabhupada is saying for this beautiful verse. Indriyas yarthe raga dvesha vyavasthitao tayor na vasham agachet tau hi asya paripanthinau. The translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. Again, what is the stumbling block on the path of self-realization?
Paripanthinau.
No. What is it that comes in the, what is the stumbling block?
Attachment.
Raga and dvesha.
Raga and dvesha. Very good, right? So raga and dvesha, remember, in your path of self-realization, in your path of devotional service, both raga and dvesha. And of course, we are talking about material raga and material dvesha. They are the stumbling blocks. Okay. And however, there are principles there to help you regulate that, right? So there are principles that will help you not to come under the control. Vasham, come is gacha, you know, the gachet, agachet. So that's why he says, Vasham agachet, na, never come under the control of this raga and dvesha, right? So let's look at what Prabhupada has to say. Purport, those who are in Krishna consciousness are naturally reluctant to engage in material sense gratification, but those who are not in such consciousness should follow the rules and regulations of the revealed scriptures. Can you give me examples of revealed scriptures? What does it mean when you say a scripture is revealed?
Srimad Bhagavad-gita itself.
Srimad Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay, and why do, very good, correct. And why do we call them revealed scriptures?
Because they have been made available to us.
Right, the Gyan, the knowledge has been revealed to us. It is not knowledge that we acquire through our own mental faculties. And why we cannot acquire that through our own mental faculties? Because this is spiritual knowledge. And our mental faculties operate on a mental realm, on a material realm. They cannot on their own come up with, you know, all these informed knowledge that is mentioned in these scriptures like Bhagavad-gita and Bhagavatam. So they are revealed, and who reveals it to us?
Lord himself in Bhagavad-gita.
What is the Lord's name?
Krishna.
Lord Krishna.
You should not miss an opportunity to say
And Mataji, his devotees as well, right? Lord
Hmm.
Krishna and his devotees.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
And how do devotees reveal it? The devotees are going to reveal it as it is.
It is.
As it is, right? So, but those who are not in such consciousness, so if you are a Krishna conscious person, then there is no problem at all. They are naturally reluctant to engage in material sense gratification. Naturally, they will say, I don't want, right? So many times we see that, in the beginning, when we hear stories about how people became devotees of the Lord, there are plenty of such success stories on the YouTube that we read. And they talk about, I was a meat eater, onion and garlic, like we would buy them by the, I don't know, tons or something like that. So much we would eat. And then they say that when they started chanting the holy names of the Lord, and then they say that, I don't know where the onions went. I don't know where the garlic went, because it becomes a natural thing to you. So that's what the first word line is saying, that those who are in Krishna consciousness are naturally reluctant to engage in material sense gratification. So eating pyaj pakoras, onion pakoras, garlic things, they're all material sense gratification. They will be reluctant to do it. But then if you're not at that level of consciousness, if your devotional service has not reached that stage that you still have these desires, then they're saying, but those who are not in such consciousness should follow the rules and regulations of the revealed scriptures. Unrestricted sense enjoyment is the cause of material engagement. Now look at that. Unrestricted sense enjoyment is the cause of material engagement. Engagement. You are in a cage. You are a prison, right? You are imprisoned, right? And you are a prisoner of your own desires of sense enjoyment. And the more that you have the desire to enjoy material objects, you will continue to get material bodies where you will be engaged. But one who follows the rules and regulations of the revealed scriptures does not become entangled by the sense objects. It's very important, entanglement. Right? For example, sex enjoyment is a necessity for the conditioned souls. That's why you see so many places, so many groups, they are bound by the millions. They will say, yeah, it's a need. Sexual activity is a need of the human being. It is not a need. What this line is telling us clearly, it's Srila Prabhupada is opening our eyes. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam. He's opening our eyes. He's saying that it is a necessity. Yeah, if you hear people tell you that this is a necessity, remember, it is a necessity for the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul is a soul which is put in a particular material body and will behave like that material body. For example, if you are in a body of a dog, then you won't think twice before having sex in the middle of a road, because you're conditioned to behave like that, right? So he's saying, well, yeah, sex enjoyment is a necessity for the conditioned soul, and sex enjoyment is allowed under the license of marriage ties. But for human beings, we're not dogs. We have to understand what our rules are. And so it is allowed under the license of marriage ties. According to scriptural injunctions, one is forbidden to engage in sex relationship with any woman other than one's wife. All other women are to be considered as one's mother. And that's why in ISKCON we address Mataji's Mataji, like that, right? But in spite of such injunctions, a man is still inclined to have sexual relationship with other women. Now, this is the sad story of the material world. These propensities are to be curbed. And so Prabhupada is clearly telling you this in contrast with the verse that we did earlier, where it said, what will repression accomplish? So do not think repression over there. What he's saying is that, okay, go with the flow, whatever your desires are coming. No, what he's saying is that if you are a Kshatriya by nature, if you are a Brahmana by nature, you become a policeman, try to repress your Brahmanical thing, then you will be uncomfortable. If you take a fish out of the water and you put it outside, it's not in its natural surrounding. It will, go to the extreme and even die like that, right? So here what he's saying is that, look at this, that people can say, I have a propensity. Well, I'm married, but I still want to enjoy, somebody else's wife. What can I do? What's depression going to accomplish? This is my nature. No, he's saying that these propensities are to be curbed. We have to curb these, otherwise they will be stumbling blocks. And what is Sanskrit for stumbling blocks? Anybody remember that? It's a beautiful word.
Attachment.
Yes. And we said at raga and dvesha are the two stumbling blocks, very famous, right? So these propensities are to be curbed, otherwise they will be stumbling blocks in the path of self-realization. As long as material body is there, the necessities of the material body are allowed, but under rules and regulations, right? So he's saying, okay, you got a material body, you are in cage, you're conditioned, you think you are the body. So these urges will also be there, but there are rules and regulations under which they have to be carried out, right? But then here comes the additional instruction from Prabhupada, and yet we should not rely upon the control of such allowances. One has to follow those rules and regulations unattached to them, because practice of sense gratification under regulation may also lead one to go astray, as much as there is always a chance of an accident even on the royal roads, right? So, for example, if I were to, let's look at the word royal roads. Royal roads are the roads on which the king moves, right? So the roads are going to be absolutely in perfect condition, nice, smooth, good material, always maintained and things like that, right? I mean, when I first came to USA and I would drive the car over here, I was like, oh, to me, it feels like I'm driving a car on a billiard table. It seemed like so smooth. But then, right, if somebody gets involved in a car accident here, 90% chances that, they won't live. And so he's saying that it is very important to understand this, that when we say that I am doing these things in a controlled environment under regulations, and in this particular situation, he's talking about having sex, right? He's saying if person has got this, man has got those tendencies, then get married to a wife. Now it's legal. But then again, he's saying it doesn't mean that you have sex all the time. Even under, you can say it's legal, I'm under this, right? So later on, Prabhupada will explain, and Krishna also explains that, what is sex, which is, he's talking about I am this and I am that. And he says, I am sex, which is used for procreation of Krishna conscious children. So yes, under the rules and regulations of a married life, you will have relationships with your wife, but only to procreate children and not for fun, right? Because if you do that, so one might say, it's under the rules and regulations. It's not somebody else's wife, it's my wife. Still, that will be a paripanthi now. It will be a stumbling block to our progress in devotional service. And why he's saying, given a very nice example, he's saying, even on a royal road, there can be accidents. So even here, right, just being with the wife or, doing things within the permission. For example, meat eating is allowed. To those who are in that mode, they're allowed to offer meat in sacrifice to the goddess a particular few days of the month. But then, that's all your focus is, and that's what you're focusing it. Then, without doubt and without any delay and without any absences, you are eating meat on those particular days of the month, month after month after month. There are a chance that, one day the urge will be there and you'll say, oh, it doesn't matter. It's not the good day of the month. I should still eat it. So that's an accident that's going to happen on the royal road. So that's what Prabhupada is saying, that these are stumbling blocks. Although they may be very carefully maintained, nobody, and he's talking about the royal roads, no one can guarantee that there will be no danger even on the safest road. And that's why, what does Bhakt Prahlad say about this material world? He says, Padam Padam Yad Vipadam Nadesha. At every step, there is danger. Every step there is danger. And that is why all the time we have to call out to Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So when we do Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you should unmute yourself and speak together so that everybody watching us on Facebook and YouTube can also hear the Hare Krishna chanting. Okay?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right. And here, so let's continue here. The sense enjoyment spirit has been current a very long time, owing to material association. So sense enjoyment spirit has been there, right? Two things are there about enjoyment. One is that I have a tendency to enjoy material things. So that's one. Apart from that, I am a part and parcel of Krishna. Now, recently we read a verse. Does anybody remember? Sunday students, do you remember? Something that talked about we being parts of Krishna. Which chapter are we doing Sunday?
15, Mataji.
Third chapter.
Sunday?
15.
Sunday, America. Yeah, America time Sunday.
No.
15.
15, right. And which verse did we do?
15.7.
Excellent.
Yes. And what does 15.7 tell you? And what does 15.7 say? Remember?
Yetu sarvani brahmani.
Mame
Vancho Jiviloke.
Jiva sanatana.
Indriyani prakriti sthani karshati.
Prakriti Sthani Karshati. Right? So Mame Vancho Jiviloke. Right? So Krishna is saying that they are my parts and parcel. And so who is the supreme enjoyer? Krishna, the supreme
Krishna.
enjoyer. And we are his parts and parcels. So what's going to happen to us? We'll also have that enjoyment tendency, right? But the only thing is that we invest that enjoyment tendency in the wrong thing. Instead of deriving our enjoyment from serving Krishna, we try to get false enjoyment by trying to enjoy the material objects of our senses. Okay? So there is always a chance, and here Prabhupada is saying that therefore, in spite of regulated sense enjoyment, there is every chance of falling down. Therefore, any attachment for regulated sense enjoyment must also be avoided by all means. But attachment to Krishna consciousness or acting always in loving service of Krishna detaches one from all kinds of sensory activities. Therefore, no one should try to be detached from Krishna consciousness at any stage of life. The whole purpose of detachment from all kinds of sense attachment is ultimately to become situated on the platform of Krishna consciousness. Om Tat Sat. Okay. So we'll stop here. We'll take a pause and we will take reflections and questions that you have here before we continue further. What did you hear from this? Any thoughts that came to your mind?
Yeah, Mataji, we should not be detached to Krishna at any stage of life. Whatever situation we are in, we should be attached to him and follow his instructions carefully.
Very nice. Yes.
Like,
What are the roadblocks that we talked about?
Raga and Dvesha.
Raga and
Raga
Dvesha.
and Dvesha, right? So what do you think would be the Raga and Dvesha? And let's look at the Raga and Dvesha in comparison to the Varna that you have, right? So let's take the Varna of Vaishya, right? So Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. Okay. So what is a Vaishya supposed to do? According to his nature, what is the activities a Vaishya should be performing?
serving.
Yeah,
Business.
Business, yes, very good. And
protecting the cows.
protecting the
Taking care
cows,
of the
right?
cows.
Agriculture and cow protection.
Agriculture.
Right? And cow protection. And so agriculture means ultimately business, that becomes it, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think would be the raga attachment of a Vaishya?
Money.
His attachment will be money, right? His attachment will be always to doing business. His attachment will be, how can I make some money out of it, right? That is where. And what will be the Dvesha? What would he not like to do?
Not like to part from it. Not to be attached.
Yes, do not like to part from it. And one way to part from the money is to give donation, right? Right? So they won't like to give donation at all. Right? There'll be a big Vaishya sitting on his shop, and you go and asking for some donation. He'll say, "Aaj to bilkul manda chal raha hai. You know, business is down, market is down. I'm hardly able to make my both ends meet." Like that, he will come up with this. Why? That's his nature. That is his raga and dvesha. He doesn't like to do it. Right? So these raga and the dvesha, right? So whichever varna that you have, you will have a set of raga and you'll have a set of dveshas. And these raga and dveshas can be stumbling blocks to your progress in devotional service.
Can I say something? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, in chapter 2 also there is a verse that says that if you even though you use your senses and are free from rag and dvesh, and you will attain the grace of the Lord. I think
yes, raga desha
yeah. So even while using the objects of the senses, you can be free from rag and dvesh, then you can still have Krishna's mercy.
Right. Prasadam madhigacchati, right? You receive the prasadam, right? But that's at a higher level, right? Why does the raga and dvesha come? Raga is desha, there is a subtle hint inside the raga and dvesha. It is stemming from our desire to enjoy.
Attachments.
Right? Why am I attached to something? It gives me pleasure. Right? And why I don't want to do something, it steals the pleasure away from me. That's why I don't do it. I like to count my dollars every night from the till, right? And you're asking me to donate? It's a tough thing, yeah. Yeah. So here, so raga dvesha vinirmukte. So there will be, and so it is very, so what I was saying was that it is very natural for a person in a varna to have raga and dvesha, but then there should be regulations to control. How do I get over these raga dveshas? Because I know they are paripanthi now. They are stumbling blocks for me, right? In my path of in my progression. So if I am an agriculturist or I am a Vaishya and I am supposed to do cow protection, right? So which means I will have cows, right? I'll take care of the cows. And then I will make money out of cow products, right? So the Vaishya mentality is maintained, but you're also taking care of the cows. You're also giving jobs to the other Shudras who are there, right? Who will be helping you on the fields, taking care of the cows and so on and so forth, right? So they are all there. So the raga part is maintained, you get money out of it. But then the rules and regulations come that when the cow is not able to produce milk, what do? Send it off to the butcher, right? Slaughterhouse, because now it doesn't give you enough. And you don't want to part with your investments that you have made, the dvesha. But the rules and regulations say you cannot do that. When the cow has stopped giving milk, that's fine. You take care of the cow. And same thing extrapolated, right? That is why we have retirement. When your servant retires, you still have to take care of him by giving him pension and things like that. You just don't throw them out, right? So we have to do those things. Otherwise, follow things under the regulations. And one of the things that Prabhupada says in this verse here, and I'm going to start the screen again, sharing the screen for you, is that he starts and he's to the dot. He's nailing it very clearly because the whole world is situated and revolves around sexual attraction. So learning the etiquette of how to deal with women does not free one from sexual attraction. It's a very, very powerful statement. A very, very powerful statement. And somebody might just think that, I I'm good enough. I'm good enough, and I have controlled my senses. Now, Vishwamitra, he was doing tapasya for 10,000 years. And one of his roaming senses, his ear, right? What did his ears hear?
Ankle bells.
The tingling of the noise of the ankle bells.
Of?
Menaka.
Ankle bells.
Menaka. If Menaka, right? So one roaming senses, he might have thought that, I am 10,000 years of experience of doing, meditation, and just one, and it goes. So he might have known the etiquette of, dealing with women, but, it's not a guarantee that you're not going to fall. And this was depicted by Brahma himself in one of his lifetimes, where he's doing creation. He creates a daughter, and then he gets attracted towards the daughter and starts running after her to demonstrate to people that, how bad it can be. And actually, I'm going to bring up a verse from the Bhagavatam today here on how strongly this is dealt in the scriptures. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, very strong about it. Very, very strong. And about dealing with women, because he was a sannyasi. Sannyasis have to be even more careful about these things. So, and this verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam, and let me bring it up here. So, matra swasra duhitra va navi viktasano bhavet balavan indriya gramo vidvamsam api karshati. And then what it is saying, one should not allow oneself to sit on the same seat, even with one's own mother, sister, or daughter. For the senses are so strong that even though one is very advanced in knowledge, he may be attracted by sex. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Learning the etiquette of how to deal with women does not free one from sexual attraction. As specifically mentioned herewith, such attraction is possible even with one's mother, sister, or daughter. Generally, of course, one is not sexually attracted to his mother, sister, or daughter. But if one allows himself to sit very close to such a woman, one may be attracted. This is a psychological fact. It may be said that one is liable to be attracted if he is not very advanced in civilized life. However, as specifically mentioned herein, vidvamsam api karshati. Vidvamsam. Let's look at the meaning of vidvamsam in the word-by-word meaning given by Prabhupada over here. What does vidvamsam mean? Can anybody tell me?
Very learned and
advanced person.
Right, so very learned. So here it's saying vidvamsam api karshati. Even if one is highly advanced, materially or spiritually, he may be attracted by lusty desires. Right? The object of attraction may even be one's mother, sister, or daughter. Therefore, one should be extremely careful in dealing with women. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was most strict in such dealings, especially after he accepted the sannyas order. Indeed, no woman could come near him to offer him respect. Again, if one is warned herewith that one should be extremely careful in dealings with women, a brahmachari is forbidden even to see the wife of his spiritual master if she happens to be young. The wife of a spiritual master may sometimes take some service from the disciple for her husband, as she would from a son. But if the wife of the spiritual master is young, a brahmachari is forbidden to render service to her. So that's the extreme of precautions that is recommended by the Shastras to take. And so there is this purpose-driven church that Vaisheshika Prabhu talks about. And there is, Father Rick Warren is there. It's a Christian thing in Orange County down south. And so I was listening to lectures from him, and he said that about his being careful of the opposite sex. So he's married and got children. And he says that he has a secretary who helps him in his work, lady. And so when he is traveling from his floor, going back to the ground floor of the building, he never shares the elevator with his secretary. He never goes alone with her. That's the extent of the precautions that people take. Why? Paripanthino raga dvesha. There is a rag, there is an underlying, desire to enjoy.
Mataji, can you tell me the sloka, which chapter, Mataji?
It was from the 9th chapter, 19, 17.
Thank you, Mataji. Sorry.
Yeah. So he understands that, he realizes that, and that is why he is going through those kinds of regulations. He's saying, all right, here's a rule and regulation. She's not your wife. Don't travel in elevators alone. Try to avoid it unless it's, it becomes impossible to avoid it. The people take those kind of precautions. Why? Because this is a stumbling block in your devotional service. They want to preserve their devotional service. They don't want to fall down like that. And it's amazing that Menaka was a beautiful Apsara, right? Sent by Indra to make sure that the devotional service that, tapasya that, not necessarily devotional service, the tapasya that Vishwamitra was performing should be destroyed, right? So he sends this beautiful lady, and of course we know the history. He gets attracted to her, marries her, has a daughter with her. And then Indra says that, all right, come back. Your mission is over, mission accomplished, come back. And she's Apsara, she will go back, right? That's the law of material nature. She has to go back. So she goes back, and then she's leaving her husband and the daughter. And so he gets very angry. So I was listening to one of the movies many years ago based on this. And there was a dialogue that Vishwamitra then gives. It was a Hindi movie, so of course the dialogue was embellished, but I think that it drove through the message very clearly. So after he, tells her, he's appalled that the wife is beautiful, wife is leaving and going back. And also when he realizes that, oh, she was a plant, somebody planted by Indra. It was not that she genuinely loved him and things like that. He's very heartbroken, and then he gets angry. And so then he says that, don't think that it was your beauty. Don't think that it was your beauty that made me give up my devotional service or my practice my tapasya that I was doing. It was not your beauty that made me do that. It was my lust that made me do that. And there is such a big difference between the two. Because there can be a beautiful woman standing in front of you, but if there is no lust, then nothing can happen. Can you give me an example of that from our scriptures?
Haridas Thakur, Mataji.
Haridas Thakur, yes, fresh from Chaitanya Charitamrita that Varshana Mataji is reading here these days. Yes. Who came in front of him as a prostitute? Maya herself comes there dressed as a prostitute to lure him, and nothing happens to him. Why? Because that lust has finished, right? So in the case of Vishwamitra, when we blame and say Menka was the one, no, Menka was the object of his senses. Indriyani indriyartheshu. Today's verse is saying, right? So the senses are sticky. The senses are always looking for the sense objects. It's a very alarming situation. It's a very alarming situation to know that I have got these senses and they are looking out. It's not that my eye by chance falls on a beautiful object, or my eyes, when I'm going shopping, my eyes fall on an ice cream, tub of ice cream. It's because the desire to eat ice cream was already there. So your eyes were already looking for it. So your eyes will not fall on celery sticks, right, or cucumbers, but the eyes will be able to locate mango ice cream in the remote corner of a shop. Why? Because indriyas are looking. There's an underlying desire, and because of desire, you have got senses, and these senses will be looking for the sense objects, right? So similarly, there was some underlying lust still remaining in Vishwamitra, in which he said, because of that, I fell a victim to all these things. So very, very important thing to keep in mind. And that's why people go to such kind of extremes of, not associating with the opposite sex, fearing that I might have some vestigial, desires. We don't know. We just don't know. We have been given a particular body, and as the body progresses, it'll start behaving according to the way it is supposed to enjoy or suffer. So all that thing is already defined for you. That's your destiny, right? So it's already defined. It's going to happen. Like for example, when a small child is there, a small child is born, he will coo, he will cycle in the air, he will, smile at his mother. And when he grows up, he goes and murders somebody, right? So the body has to become at the right stage to perform the action it's supposed to perform. As a child, he won't show any murderous trait there that he's going to go and kill, people 2 decades later. things like that. So, but they are there underlined. So that is something that we should always be very watchful of. Very, very watchful of. And then in our, when we did the first round of reading from the Bhagavad-gita, there was a very interesting thing, and it took us some time to, kind of grasp it down. And this was in the Bhagavad-gita, fourth chapter, verse number 26, where they were talking about controlling the senses, right? And the 15th chapter verse that we read, which said, Mame vancho jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana, manah shasthani indrani, prakriti sthani karshati. So they have got 5 senses, and the 6th sense is the mind. And because of all these 6 senses that they have in this material nature, they suffer because of that, because of our sense organs, which are actively seeking out things because of our underlying desire to enjoy things like that. So, so how do we control? How do we control that? So in the 4th chapter, it talked about that there are 2 ways in which you can control it, right? Again, one of the desires is to listen to gossip or listen to television, right? Go listen to cinema, listen to Bollywood song, Hollywood song, whatever, love song like that, right? That titillate our baser instincts. There's a tendency to do that. So how do the brahmacharis control it? They sacrifice the hearing process. They sacrifice the hearing process. Their sacrifice is to do sacrifices on the hearing side of the business. That is, I will not hear the TV, no TV in my room, or if there is TV, switch it off, right? So cut off all those things. And instead, because ears are meant to hear, it's a sense organ, right? It has to reach out and listen, it's always reaching out for sound here and there, right? So that is why when you're sleeping, somebody says your name, you wake up. Why? Because this was active, listening to signals. And so because he has got ears, he has to hear something. So now he will hear Krishna Katha, right? So that is how he controls. So in that case, he's doing a sacrifice. Sacrifice always involves yajna, right? There is fire. But then there's not necessary that every time you'll have the symbolic fire, there'll be flames and you'll be putting ghee into it, right? The fire over here is the fire of controlling the hearing process. That control of the hearing process is the fire that's going to burn down his desire, slowly over a period of time, burn down the desire to listen to TV. And then to go back to the verse that Sukomal Radhe Mataji said, that, when you have gone above this raga and dvesha, when you have gone above this raga of wanting to hear and listen to the TV, right? You have constantly curbed that desire, you don't have it, then you are vinirmukta, you are freed from that. Then even if the TV runs there, you don't care. It doesn't affect you, right? So that is how they control the senses. Then they talk about the grihasthas. How do they control the sense? Well, a grihastha is married, right? And so here, and in today's verse also, Prabhupada is pointing it out, that grihastha is married. Brahmachari is not married, so he doesn't associate with women. And so by controlling his desire to associate with women, right, that is his sacrifice. In that fire of control, right, he's controlling his desires. On the other hand, if you look at the grihastha, he knows. So brahmachari, through previous samskaras or from hearing, he knows there is enjoyment with women, but he hasn't really experienced it, right? But a grihastha has experienced it because he's married, he's a wife. So for a grihastha, having tasted that pleasure and then to control it, is an even more difficult task. If you never ate mango ice cream and I tell you don't eat it, that's fine. But if you ate a mango ice cream, and now I tell you not to eat it, it's even more difficult, right? So different people in different varnas, different ashrams in life will control their senses. And today's verse is also saying that you have to control them. You have to curb this tendency. And how will this tendency get curbed? So imagine that all these raga and dveshas are like a black pot of ink. And if all have to disappear, then this ink has to become white in color. So how does it become white in color? You start pouring the milk of Krishna Katha into this bottle, and slowly, it will turn gray and then light gray and then white, like that. So always chant the holy names of the Lord, unmute, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Gaur Premanande,
Hare
Hare.
Bol.
All right. So, any last moments? Any last questions? Any last
Sorry,
thing?
Mataji, I have a question, Mother.
Go ahead. Why are you feeling sorry?
No, what I'm saying is Vishwamitra, he has lust and he has to do that, okay? And you see, he had a daughter. So what did she do? Because Manaka left and Vishwamitra, I think he won't take care of her. And she has to go to an ashram.
Mhm.
So what is the karma she did, Shakuntala?
Fantastic karma. She's living in an ashram. What more do you want? Look at it from a different way, right?
Yeah,
Vishwamitra, we know. Vishwamitra, we know at that time had not become the Saptarishi. He still had his anarthas, right? To have a mother who is a Menka, or to have a mother who's an Apsara, and to have a father who has not yet reached that level of purification, it's better than that. Better than living with them. It's better she lived in the ashram. I'm forgetting the name of the rishi, but he lived in some other ashram, right? And then there's the whole story of Dushyant and all that, So that's not, yeah. So the fact that anybody is
what I'm saying is she didn't have any parental love or affection,
So, but the rishis loved him, right? In the rishi ashram, he had people to take care, right? And so if you're asking the question that why was she unloved, even if we say that yes, the reality is that the mother left her, right? Then we have to go back and dig into her past life and see her karmas.
That's
Yes.
I thought.
Yeah. The fact that somebody is, I don't know that, but the fact that somebody is an apsara, which means very beautiful, doesn't mean that they are really good.
Yeah.
Right? Apsaras are elevationists. Elevationist is a soul that tries to get elevated to the higher planets to enjoy. So Apsara does some good work, but the idea is to get a beautiful body. Okay, fine. You have lusty desires also. Fantastic. Let's give you the role of an Apsara. And we'll give you a long life, which will almost seem like, unending, but it does end. And you live in the heavenly planets. But then
but that is the same thing happened to Karna. Karna's story is also like that. Kunti Maharani. She just tried like that, but he was feeling bad, but he was with Kauravas, and then he was still maintaining. But they say he's not Kshatriya, but he's Kshatriya. All those things he has to face.
Yes.
What is mistake? He did it.
Oh, so you have to let us go into the life of Karna. It is documented. In his previous birth, what was Karna? Yeah. So they go through, laws of karma, laws of material nature are very stringent. They will act no matter what.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Mm-hmm.
May I ask a question, Mataji?
Sure. Go ahead.
Mataji, when we have a desire, any kind of desire is a lust desire, apart from, chanting and...
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a desire to eat something specific, even then that is called, that is a lusty desire.
It's a lusty desire, yeah, because once you like it, what's going to happen? Once you fulfill that desire,
you want to have more.
Have to have more, right? So if there's a fire there and fire wants to eat something, and what are you giving? You're giving it ghee. Right? So if you give ghee, then the fire will become more and want more. Then you put more ghee and more ghee and more ghee. What you really need to put is water.
Yeah.
Control the fire, right? So that's why we say that, trying to find material solutions to material problems only creates more material problems.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hey, Dandavat Pranams, good to see you.
Yes, Mataji, seeking your blessings. My Masi and my mom is here.
Are here? Fantastic. Hare Krishna. So happy to see you. Badhiya, badhiya.
Yes. Everyone prayed for her when she had COVID. So we are very thankful.
Yeah, we did that. Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. 1 second. I'll call my mom also. Mummy?
Where is
Yeah.
Mary?
And here. Yes, Mataji. Here. 1 second. Here is
Oh,
Akeshi.
God. She became big. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Look at that.
Putting her tongue out.
Yeah.
Yes. She has learned right now to put her tongue out recently. So
Yeah. She might be
So
teasing
cute.
also.
Hey,
started rolling, started
she's
laughing,
recognizing.
saying
Now
Hare
she's
Krishna.
recognizing people. Hello.
And and singing to devotees and remembering
Ooh.
Vindhyavali Mataji every day when I make sambar and rasam.
Look at her how she's laughing.
Mm.
She's so
And
cool.
seeing Aruni Mataji's beautiful pictures,
Yeah.
hearing Shraddha Mataji's classes, we are enjoying it. Hare Krishna.
Recognizing people now.
Yeah, and sorry, I turned off actually. 1 second. And my mom is also here, so she's also saying
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Dandavat pranam. So happy to see you. Wow. Now we should have Bhakti Vriksha in your home, Kathy.
yes. I was just
Mom is
telling them that we can start in December with Chappan Bhog. So yeah. Vindhyavali Mataji, are you going to be here this time in Bay Area?
I don't know, Ma. If I am there, I want to see the baby also. I don't know when I will be coming. I have
No,
some.
Mataji, I will call you. I will call you. And I have long time pending to call